welcome to this live webinar, UTO's live webinar on COVID-19. As we all know that we are in unprecedented times. We are all stuck to our homes, taking care of ourselves and doing as much as seva as we can. During these pandemic times, we do have a lot of doubts and so many misconceptions. So UTO thought that we can directly bring in somebody who is directly involved or dealing with COVID-19 patients. So today's topic, COVID-19, is very much relevant than any other topic for the times that we are in. So before we start, I would like to introduce what is UTO. I can see most of you are from UTO, but just to give you a brief introduction of UTO, UTO is UK Telugu Hindu organization. So we are here to unite all the Telugu Hindus on one platform and to inculcate the Hindu Telugu values for our next generation also, and preserving our culture and taking forward for next generation. So with this in mind, Samskar, Seva and Sangatan are our core principles and the values that we work on. And also these three key values drive us forward in doing many other activities that we all did. So these activities, if you go into our Facebook page and our Facebook group, you will find what are the activities that we have done in the past. So coming back to today's relevant topic of COVID-19, I have the pleasure of introducing Srimati Neela ji, Dr. Neela Surange. She is from Manchester, and today Neela ji has kindly agreed, in spite of all her busy schedule, that be with us. So thank you for that, Neela ji. So it's a small introduction about Dr. Neela ji. Neela ji grew up and studied in Pune before moving to UK in 1995. And she is a specialist in respiratory diseases in India and then in the UK. And she is also a consultant in respiratory physician in Stockport, which is Greater Manchester Hospital. She is, of course, a homemaker and a mother and a student of Hindustani classical music. And she is also part of the HSS UK chapter in Dikshani chapter committee. She is very active in Marathi Mandal also. So once again, thank you so much, Neela ji, and the floor is yours now. Thank you. The mic is yours.
Namaste, everybody. And as Kishore ji has said, we are in unprecedented times. None of us really has seen anything like this. And so Hema ji requested me to give a talk on COVID-19. I'm sure all of us know about it, and in fact that's all we keep hearing in the news, in our kind of social circles and everywhere. And so I will just go very, very briefly through some aspects of the virus and the disease, and then I will take questions. So as we all know, the virus originated in China, in the Wuhan province of China, and it spread very, very quickly to make quite a lot of thousands of people ill in Wuhan, and then eventually it spread to neighboring provinces as well. Later on it spread to European countries, I think Italy first, northern Italy, and then it's now everywhere. So it is a pandemic, as WHO calls it, and that means that the disease is very active in a number of different countries, many countries in the world. I'm sure you have all heard that it is an RNA virus. So viruses are of two types: DNA viruses, RNA viruses. The influenza virus, which some of us may have experienced influenza. And the influenza virus is also an RNA virus. And the RNA viruses keep changing themselves. They just kind of, just like some people change their styles, hairstyle or different styles, RNA viruses are known to change their genetic every few months, every year. So again, influenza viruses changes every year, and that's why people who take the flu vaccine have to take it every year. It is not like measles or other diseases where if you take the vaccine once, that's it, you are protected for life. So this is a RNA virus. It started in some wild animals probably, and then it kind of changed itself last year so that it can actually get into the human body and affect human beings. It mainly affects the breathing respiratory system, and so it goes in through the nose, throat, mouth, everywhere, and then it affects tonsils and other tissues, and then eventually it can, well, in some people it affects lungs as well. And the main symptoms, so people who have the coronavirus, so it was called coronavirus 2, and later on was named coronavirus 2019. So when it causes infection, people are coughing. Most of the people, about 90%, cough. And when they cough, they spread the virus. So all the tiny droplets of saliva or mucus that they cough contain virus, and that's how it spreads to other people. And so these droplets, depending on how vigorously the person is coughing, these droplets can spread to about 2-3 meters distance, and other people either catch them directly in their mouth or throat, and then it will infect their respiratory passage. The other important way the disease spreads is that these droplets then fall and settle down on other objects. So if, for example, we are in a train, underground train or Metrolink in Manchester, and infected people are coughing, then all these droplets are going to go drop onto the seats, the handles, the bars, the straps, overhead straps that we hold. So they will be everywhere. And the virus survives for a number of hours on metal. So actually longer on metal and plastic. And most of our things these days are made of plastic. If it drops on fabric, so say somebody's clothes, then it dries out quickly within 2 or 3 hours. But if it drops on metal or plastic, it survives there for a number of hours. Now the infected person gets off the train, but somebody else gets in, and then we again hold the same bar or strap, and that's how the virus will go on our hands. And then most of us touch the face many times, and so that's how the virus will then get near the nose, near the mouth, and it will infect people. It's important to understand this. And so again, it spreads, the virus goes in the air when the person coughs, but then in the air, the droplets will either get directly into the victim or they will settle down on surfaces. It is now, scientists, epidemiologists have ways of deciding how infectious a virus is. So sometimes viruses or bacteria, they are not highly infectious, but if they cause an infection, it can be quite deadly. An example of that is meningococcus. So a lot of people get, well, not a lot, some people get meningitis. That's it. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, the meningitis bacteria, it's quite deadly, but it's not as infectious. And this virus is one of the most infectious ones. And so they say that each person will actually infect at least 2 to 3 people. And then they will infect, so if you think the kind of infectivity factor R0, they call it, I'm sure you have heard it in a lot of discussions. So if that is 3, then each passage is going to be multiplied by 3. So one person will infect 3, then 9, 27, and so on. Because it's a novel virus, so it was actually initially called novel coronavirus, none of us, so nobody in the world has any immunity to this virus. So, and if some people are immune to certain diseases, then, when somebody who has the infection is, say, coughing up, but then one of the 3 persons who catches that virus is actually immune, then that person is not going to pass it on. But because nobody was immune to this virus at the beginning of the year, it has spread quite widely, and that means that everybody is susceptible. That means everybody can potentially fall ill if they get infection with the virus. Now, I'm sure you have all read that 80% people will get a very mild disease. It is actually like flu, and so it is not very mild. It's not as mild as a cold, because I'm sure all of us have worked through getting a cold. But then I don't know how many of you have had flu, and flu is much more, it's quite tiring, flu. It is very different from a cold, and it will keep a person out of work and, in the bed for 5-6 days. And with COVID, again, what I have seen is that people are running temperature, coughing, just getting a lot of body aches. These are the common symptoms. People have described just aching in the back, all the major muscles, chest pains, lot of headaches, bad headaches. And some people have said they are worse than even migraine headaches. And these symptoms will go on for 7 to 10 days, many times. So it is actually seems to be worse than the flu in terms of how ill it makes a person. They say that 10% people get more serious disease, in which the virus actually affects the lungs, and so people develop difficulty in breathing. And as we know, thousands of people have died from COVID infection. The number of deaths is actually more than what we have seen with some other similar viral infections. And so there was a SARS, South Asian respiratory syndrome. So that was again another RNA virus that was causing lot of illness in the East Asian countries about, I think, 12-13 years ago. Then there was MERS, Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome. And so again, quite a severe respiratory disease, but infectivity of that virus was not as high. And so actually it got contained around the Middle East, really. It did not spread worldwide. This year the coronavirus COVID-19 has spread worldwide. Now, I talked about mild symptoms. I said that 10% people will develop respiratory difficulties, breathing problems. Now, there is a lot of information on the NHS website or 111 website or Public Health England website. And they say if you have mild symptoms, just stay at home, take paracetamol, etc. I noticed that none of these websites actually describe what serious symptoms are. And so I think I should talk about that. And so if anyone is ill with any infection, viral infection, flu or coronavirus, they are just going to feel dreadful, very tired, very, very tired. But they can breathe okay. Also, if someone's ill, they should not really be going out and about and trying their lungs out. Can I, run a mile or something? They shouldn't do that. The advice is that they isolate themselves even within the family home and try any contact with even the family members as much as they can. And so obviously if one is in that situation, stuck to one room of the house, we cannot really challenge our lungs enough to see how much we can exercise. But then I think simple things like having a shower, if at the end of it you are breathing very heavily, then I think it's time to then get some medical attention. So, that will be significant breathlessness. If you are, just getting breathless talking, that is more serious, and I don't think anyone should wait till that point. So just doing the daily activities which one would do when they are ill, and I think again having a shower is kind of it does take some effort, and so if that is making someone breathless, that's something to worry about. And then you want to go to either emergency GP or emergency department. I think if anyone rings 111 or 999 in that situation, that will be the advice, that you go to the next emergency department. So that's about symptoms. Now the other thing, so public health advice about what to do, and other ways, kind of how can we prevent or treat the disease. And so the control of any infection, respiratory infection or any infection. So first step is, if you know if patients in the community, then they are isolated and then all the contacts are tested. And that was happening here in UK in, I think, probably in February, early February. And that's an effective way of containing. So basically just and that is happening in India. Some countries have done that. India has done it quite well, I think, up until now. And so if you take all these affected individuals away from the community, that will stop, they will stop spreading the disease. I think by mid-February or late February, in UK we were seeing so many patients that it was impossible to do that. And so then they moved to what they call containment phase. That means it's an admission that we cannot stop the spread of this disease in the community, but how can we slow it down? And that's why at the moment we are all asked to stay at home. Don't go out, except there are 4 exceptions to that, isn't it? So there are like 4 situations you are allowed to leave the house, but otherwise don't leave the house, work from home as much as you can. And that's meant precisely to do this, so that if we go out, there is a lot of coronavirus disease in the community. So if we go out, we may catch the infection. The other thing is that there are probably some people who have such mild disease that they probably don't feel ill. And these are, in technical terms, these are what are called asymptomatic carriers. So they have got the virus in their respiratory tract. When they talk or when they sneeze or cough, they are spreading it. But they don't know. Nobody knows that they are ill, and nobody knows that they are spreading the virus. And again, if we go out freely to shops, to social gatherings, public transport, then there is always a possibility of catching the infection from someone. Because these people look quite well, they feel and look quite well. It is impossible to tell which person in the crowd is spreading the disease. And that's why Public Health England have advised us stay at home, one thing. Secondly, if we do go out, so one of the exceptions to rule is to that staying at home rule is, of course, to get essential supplies, food, everything, groceries. So if we do go out, we have to observe the social distancing. So make sure you are not coming within 2 meters. And that's because the cough and sneeze, everything that spreads the virus roughly for about that distance. The other important thing is hand washing. So wherever we touch in the supermarket, anywhere, always think that we are probably getting the virus on our hands. And so, good old Indian habits. As soon as we come home, wash the hands very thoroughly with soap and water. Wash your feet as well. We have started doing that, which we had forgotten for a few years in between. And yeah, I mean, these are the main things for general public. And the other thing, I think there are questions about wearing a mask as well. So the mask is not probably going to, that's what public health says, that the most effective measure, so when we want to protect ourselves from this infection which is everywhere, they say the most effective is hand washing, frequent hand washing, and that's what we do in the hospital, that's what we do at home. If we open the mail, if we open parcel from the courier or get the shopping home, just like as soon as you enter the house, wash hands with soap and water. The second most important is the distance, social distancing, avoiding going out too much. And they say that mask is probably not as effective as these two. And so they are not advocating masks to the public. The other thing that happens is, if there is a mask on the face, we want to adjust it all the time, which means that we are going to touch the face with our hands, and hands are the ones which are going to probably get infected. And so for that reason, they are not advocating masks for everyone. But again, it may change in future because what people in other countries actually go out wearing the mask, and what is for certain is that stops us spreading infection to other people. So again, wearing masks in public, there are pros and cons to it, probably not much protective to people. So I think that's the main thing, information. The other things about treatment, so there is no effective drug that treats the virus, and there is no vaccine which will prevent people getting the disease. So vaccine is being developed, but it is quite a few months away. There is no kind of antiviral drug that you can take that will get rid of the virus. There are trials going on for different drugs, but we don't know what's going to work. I think I will stop there probably and take questions.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Neela ji. I will just look into the questions.
Yes.
They're asking if someone has sore throat for 3 days without any fever or cough, doing a salt water gargling twice a day and lemon and honey with hot water, should we, he has been doing that, and he's asking, should he worry that he has got COVID-19 because he's got sore throat at the moment?
That sore throat can be caused by many different viral infections. And so just having sore throat doesn't necessarily mean that one has got COVID-19. And one should worry if they start getting fever or cough that is ongoing. So not like once or twice, but if you're getting cough every hour, every couple of hours, then that should raise the worry, and then that is probably the time to try and get a test. Again, the testing is, I think I was reading the statistics. They have performed 20,000 tests the other day, yesterday. But again, I'm not sure it is available for everybody with mild symptoms. So in an ideal world, yes, you would. And that will give us an idea about how many people have COVID-19. But because of the limited number of tests available, just for sore throat, one is not going to get the test. So what I would say is, keep an eye, so don't worry too much, but just watch yourself what happens.
Thank you, Neela ji. One question. If someone thinks that they've got fever and headaches and sore throat, and they kind of know it is COVID-19, are there any things that they can do to ease or get better sooner? I know there aren't any medicines as such, but on WhatsApp we see so many things. Everyone's an expert these days. We say
That's right.
get so many WhatsApp messages all the time, so it's quite confusing sometimes, but we would like to hear from you as an expert. Could you please throw some light on that? Thank you.
Okay. So again, a lot of these, hot drinks or lemon salt, lemon, honey, ginger, these are our traditional kind of therapies to ease the pain, the sore throat. It's not just Indians actually, people here, English people also would do that for common colds and everything. And so I think there is no doubt that just makes the pain, the sore throat better. It is soothing to the throat. It helps you swallow food better without getting too much sore throat. If people are coughing, then again it will, it kind of eases the cough a bit. And sometimes if people are coughing and bringing up a lot of kind of sputum, then all these things will help get all that muck out, which is of course a good thing. But again, there is no evidence. So, we don't know if they are actually doing anything to the virus or not. So, yeah, that's the answer. And so by all means, there is no harm caused by these treatments. And they do help us feel a bit better. But that's all we know for sure.
Thank you, Neela ji. Thank you so much. So we can always do a bit of Ayurvedic things just to soothe our throat. And
correct. Yes.
One more question from the participants. One of them is asking if someone is diabetic, what are the precautionary measures they have to take, or what can they do to avoid getting COVID-19, basically?
Yeah. So that's a good question. And again, to avoid it, all these things basically, avoid contact with people and your chances of getting it are less. So if, you need to, if you are working, try and work from home. If you have to go to work, again, try and follow the social distancing, hand washing, etc. Make sure your diabetes is well controlled. So again, if people are diabetic, but it is very well controlled, then their immune system works okay. And we know that people who don't have, whose diabetes is not controlled very well, so uncontrolled diabetes can make the immunity weak. And again, I do see all the time diabetics getting other types of infections, more often, and also more serious infections with other germs. And so yes, uncontrolled diabetes is the kind of worrying thing that makes you more prone for infections. And so what we can do is, of course, make sure that we eat the right food, we exercise, we take the medicines and regular checkups. So don't just leave it thinking, everything will be fine.
Thank you so much, Neela ji. And one more thing, I'm going out for Seva along with the other participants as well. We are doing Seva outside. What extra precautions do you suggest?
So if you are, so again, same thing, In addition, if you are taking things, to somebody's house and taking things from there, then, so you may be picking up, if you are delivering food, and then if you are picking something, then I guess the other thing you could consider is wearing gloves as well, disposable gloves.
Yes.
Yeah. So not necessary in the house, not necessary if you are just going to supermarket to get your own shopping. But again, if you go for, for seva purposes, if you are going to different people's houses, different locations.
So avoid getting into the house, just stay outside.
Yes, you shouldn't, absolutely, So leave, if you are taking something for them, leave it on the doorstep.
Yes.
If you want to wave to them, do it from, outside. So, don't go in again.
Perfect.
And don't touch, this is not only for seva, but anywhere. Try not to touch too many things, really.
Perfect. I have heard that if we leave groceries and stuff that we get in the car for 5 days, maybe 2 days, the coronavirus on it dies on its own, so we don't need to disinfect. Is that true? How true is that?
So again, it depends on, most of our things have plastic covering, isn't
Yes.
it? Yeah.
Yes, they do.
But yeah, it's true that, because before you pick it up from, say, supermarket, you don't know who has touched it.
Yes.
So, yeah. So either come home, kind of open the packages very carefully and get it into your own things, yeah? Or if you leave it in the car, yes, it will, clean itself in a few days. But then some things you can't leave for 4 or 5 days.
Yes.
Any fresh food, milk, you won't be able to do.
Yes, of course. Yes. One more question. How can we compare the impact of strict lockdown in India versus loose lockdown here in UK?
That's a good question. Yeah. So India has, done strict lockdown, but that's not the only thing they have done. They are also still doing contact tracing even now, when it's spreading. In India, yes, so they are doing not only strict lockdown, so they have stopped trains, they have stopped all the buses and everything, but they are also still going after each and every case. They are still trying to trace contacts, and so they are doing a lot of, lot of measures more than this country. Yeah.
Yes.
Neela ji, how does it impact somebody who's got a hay fever?
Okay, so again, it should not, hay fever should not make much difference. Now, this season, it's like a lot of tree pollen is around. So, so having hay fever as such is not going to make you kind of more or less susceptible for the virus. But then with hay fever, people may be getting, runny nose, sneezing, maybe a bit of sore throat and cough. So that can make things confusing a bit.
Yes. One more question. I think we have another 3 minutes for question and answer session. We've seen, after recovering, say somebody gets the worst case scenario, somebody gets the COVID and then they recover it. How far are we sure that they are immune and they won't catch it? Because we've seen in China and Japan, countries like China and Japan, that they are getting back, which is called a second wave kind of thing.
Yes.
So how far it is understood that they are immune?
Okay, yeah. So again, another good question. So what we know with most infections is, the immunity that stays permanently takes 3 to 4 weeks to develop in the first place. And then, so it's like antibodies in the blood, and then they will stay long term. Again, for some infections, the immunity lasts permanently. For some infections, it may last for a few years. For something like influenza, it will last for a year, because in a year's time, the flu virus will come in a different form anyway. Yeah. So realistically, we don't have a scientifically proven answer for this disease, because in the UK we have started, people who got it, the first wave of infections in the UK was in and around London from about February. So nobody is checking the antibody levels yet, and we don't know how long they are going to last. Now, the second wave in China is not necessarily second infection in the same people, because in the first wave, December, January, not everybody has got the infection. And so when the lockdown, is kind of loosened a bit, there is no doubt that people who actually stayed in for 3 months and now they are going out, they may get the infection. So I think the second wave in many countries is probably different people, not in the same people.
Okay. So one last question. Again, we've heard a lot about hydrochloroquine these days, especially Trump asking, requesting, begging India to produce, and we've seen India also doing, for 53 countries. So what exactly does this hydrochloroquine do, and have you found the medicine in hydrochloroquine?
Okay, so hydroxychloroquine, it's called, and it's used in many different conditions. So it modulates the immune system basically. So people who have got lupus or some other conditions, some people with rheumatoid arthritis take hydroxychloroquine. So it kind of dampens the immune response. So some people who get COVID and who then get very bad pneumonia, those who go to intensive care unit. So what happens is the body's immune system is trying to kind of mount a response, wage a war if you like, to kill the virus. So the body's army is all out there. And sometimes that response becomes so exaggerated that it will cause a lot of swelling in different organs. So mainly the lungs, but also kidneys and other organs. Hydroxychloroquine, so if it works, it will work by dampening that response. So it's tricky, isn't it? That we want, in order to get rid of the virus, we do need that response, but we don't need it excessively. Now again, different people mount different amount of response. So again, it is very difficult to, say when to take it, who will benefit for it, who's going to need it. At the moment, in UK, there is a trial going on. So, countrywide, every hospital is actually recruiting patients. And so, we are trying different treatments actually, but in a trial basis. And what that means is there will be an analysis of results after really we have enough patients. And so at the moment, again, we don't know, we think we know how it works, and that is by dampening the immune response, but we don't know if it's going to actually prevent deaths in people or getting a very serious illness in people.
Okay, so thank you so much for that, Neela ji. We appreciate your time. We are very, very, very happy and thankful for your listening. So, Hema ji, should we go into the next room?
Yes, please.
So we have a bonus sort of a session again now after a wonderful and enlightening session from Neela ji. We have our Adarniya Mananiya Chandrakant ji. Namaste Chandrakant ji. So Chandrakant ji, namaste. Chandrakant ji, most of you might know, Chandrakant ji is our full-time Pracharak, HSS, Hindu Swayam Seva Pracharak, and he's been a Pracharak from 1992. He's originally from Rajasthan, Bharat, and from last 10 years, from 2010, he's in the UK. He's in a way modern day sannyasi for us, and is somebody who's actually living with Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam concept, and is a very much look forward to person for all of us with his advice, timely advice for us. So Chandrakant ji will now address us with an important message that is relevant to these times. So over to you, my Chandrakant ji.
Namaste everyone. Thank you very much, UTHO, UK Telugu Hindu Organization, to organizing this small program. Really very good benefit for the people. Neela ji's talk is excellent. Very good answer, very straightforward answers about many queries. Really, really useful, this whole session. UK Telugu Hindu Organization, obviously by name, is a Hindu organization. So in that sort of scenario like Corona, is any thought from Hindu perspective what we can think at the moment? So that's so far Neela ji gave a perspective of absolutely from medical point of view, which is definitely important. However, we are Hindus. Most of the people who are the audience here, we are Hindus. From Hindu perspective, do we need to think something at the moment? So, few things would like to share. To think about the cause and effect theory. So, behind every effect, there is some cause. Right? So, let's think first about the effect. So what is the effect of the Corona? We all are inside and the animals are outside. So completely the world change and the animals from the road, they looking towards us, where are the all human being went now? So very interesting time. Most of we people, I speak normally 10 to 15 people daily. Many people are very worried, stressed, tensed, and sometimes I think people need some reason to be stressful. If there is no reason, they become so stressful. Why there is no reason to become stressed? And I'm very stressed. There is nothing bad happening in the life, and it's very funny. Most of we people, you are happy at home all the time. You used to complain about the busy life. Oh, the life is so busy, I don't have time. And now you have a lot of time. You are at home. Enjoy your time. Do some great things, some of the pending things which was like the pending from last 2-3 years on your list. Oh, once I will have time, I will read something. Once I will have time, I will watch some good documentaries. I don't have time, otherwise I would have talked to my all family members in the India. Do all the things right now. Spend more time with the children. You have food on your plate. You have a roof. You are not on the footpath like homeless people. Enjoy the time. You're not going to get this time once again. Be practical spiritual. This is the practical spirituality. I'm not saying thanks to Corona, but because of the circumstances, you got this. You are in this situation. Just enjoy it, or enjoy it fully. And I would suggest make some concrete outcomes to enjoy every day. Go with the flow. That's a different thing. But some concrete outcomes is important. I will read these 4 books. This is something concrete. And the books are on your table now, not in the shelf. Bring out the 3 books or 4 books. If you really want to watch some movie or some documentaries, make a list. Start day to day. So end of the 1 month, you will say, wow, amazingly I used this whole time. Yesterday I was talking to one friend, and his resolution is to less the weight 5 kilo. Amazing. Rather than eat more whole the day at home, you make some good commitment with yourself and make use this time in a best way. Whatever the thing, maybe the meditation or reading or yoga or music or your other hobbies, you wanted to give all the time but you didn't have much time, enjoy this right now. And fortunately, 2-3 more weeks we have in the lockdown, just enjoy it. Number 2, if you are in the problem, maybe you got some fever, your family member are in the problem. If you are in the problem, ask for the help. It's the best thing. Don't hesitate even for a second. Just ask for a help. Not only from the NHS, even organization like UTHO, organization like the FISI, INSA, many other organizations, they are there for the Seva Day, Seva UK. Organizations are there to help. If you're in the problem, just ask for help. If you're not in the problem, do help. Just sitting at home, liking on the Facebook and forwarding the message on the WhatsApp is not enough. Definitely. So if you're not in the problem, you are healthy, just come out and do help, because literally hundreds and thousands of people in the problem at the moment. So those who are not in the problem, it's our responsibility to go out and to help these. How to help? Just ask UTHO, ask Hema ji, ask Kishore ji. They will let you know all the ways how to help. Just go on, search the website of the Seva Day, and you will know how the 1,000 people, all from the Indian background, they are working tirelessly in the different parts of the UK to help the people, to help the hospitals, to help the medical staff, to help the food banks, to help the elderly people. Amazing work we can do at the moment. Definitely we need to be safe, that's important. However, just to be inside in the house, that is also not enough. If you can, just come out and do help. That's it. So that's some thoughts about the effect, whatever effect we are under in that circumstances, what we can do. Just some thoughts I shared. The another is a bit difficult. However, we can think of it. I can't say I'm the expert of that philosophy. However, I was talking to a few of my friends in US as well, and some other people as well. Why this Corona? So why? these sort of, which is, we can say, the once in a century, the problems come on the planet. These sort of the problem we're facing at the moment. Why this is all? And this is not the first time. We face the bird flu, the swine flu, maybe some Ebola, chikungunya, and they all coming from the animals, from the birds. Not coming from human to human. They are coming from the animal world to the human world. I was talking to one doctor, he's in the US and quite spiritual background as well, and he was explaining, this was his words, I definitely I could connect with there. He said, even non-vegetarian, and because he was saying it started from the China. Don't call it a China virus. However, we need to accept it started from the China. And how come started? From the food habits. And he was saying, even in the non-veg, up to the chicken or the fish or egg, it was okay. Even that was not right for the human, it was okay. But now they started eating exotic mammals. The things became worst. We are mammals, and we started eating mammals. They started eating monkeys, cats, dogs, and pangolin, snakes. And even that was not enough. Maybe many of you know more than me about that, because there was not the level of the satisfaction. They started creating the new recipes to increase the taste. So what the recipes? Let mix the snake with the pangolin and make a new recipe, and let mix the something else with the dog, or even there's no great fun to eat the dog who already died. Let's eat the live dog. So you must have seen some videos how on the fire they cooking the live dog. You can see these all things are available, because then they believe when the dog is live and you cooking on the fire, that time the hormones, because of the fear the dog create, it increase the taste. What type of horrible philosophies they are. And my doctor friend was saying, the amount of experiments, these wrong experiments we're doing with the nature, with the mother nature, the amount of experiments we're doing, this corona is nothing in the reward the mother nature is giving us. It is nothing. It should come more worse thing than it. However, the mother nature is kind. I was reading one poem, very interesting poem, and one person asked the mother nature, why you are so angry with us? Be kind, be auspicious for us. Why you are so angry? Why this whole corona and everything? And mother nature smiled and said, no, I'm not angry. Time to time I just push the refresh button because I need to come back on my default state. That is I like. So don't think about me, think about yourself. We know very well we are here because of nature, not nature survive because of us. Humans survive because of the nature. And so interestingly, across the world from last 1 month, because the human is under lock, in the lockdown, whole nature flourishing like anything. The water in the Ganga became cleaner, the air pollution gone. So, but all the animals are there. So for this all global warming and all the problem, human is the problem, not the animals. Human being, we say it, very clever person and whatever. I don't know what type of clever person and what type of intellect this human got. This human being is the problem for the whole, all the effect. I wish out of that all, I can see already a great discussion started in the different part of the world. What type of the world will be after the corona? Once the corona will be finished, what type of the world will be? there may be different dimensions, there may be great impact, like the financially or economically, people started seeing that the big companies now from China, they're moving to India, and there may be huge changes financially, economically in the world scenario. However, I'm not talking about the financial or economic thing. I'm saying about the lifestyle. This world has to think, this human being has to think, if in the future they don't need more coronas, when you have seen the bird flu or swine flu or the Ebola, and now you facing the corona, what is the guarantee this is the last one? The more dangerous thing may come in the future if we don't change our behavior. I was reading the book of, maybe you heard the name, Arnold Toynbee. Last century is one of the great philosopher, Arnold Toynbee. He was the admirer for this Indian culture. Always, he wrote a lot about Indian culture. And one of his interview I was reading, he say, before the Christianity, most of the cultures on the world, they were very nature friendly. This is the words of the Arnold Toynbee. When the thought process of the Christianity became very influential in half of the world, which is called the Western world, this thought process is behind this whole problem. Earlier, even if you England, you see what are the cultures before the Christianity in the England, the pagans, the druids, the bards, they pray the trees, they pray the rivers, they love the nature. Nature is literally mother for them, not for the saying sake, in the life. That sort of culture, when the Hindu culture, exactly similarly Hindu culture we say, when deep down in a little village of India, an old lady praying the banyan tree, or doing a deepak on the tulsi, or praying the river. Every river is the mother there. These old ancient cultures of the world, they were so nature friendly. Unfortunately, when the thought process of the Christianity became influential in the world, the thought process itself says, then finally God created nature for you. For you, mean for men, even for not women, according to the philosophy, for men. Because even the woman came out from the rib, so forget about, there is no woman rights there, it is for men. And then the God created. I give a simple example to you, in a circle. If there is a circle, when we call the nature, the whole nature on the circle, nature mean what? When we say nature mean what? Animals, birds, fishes, trees, mountains, rivers, even the Panchatattva, this Akash, Jala, Vayu, this is the nature. This is the nature. So if I do a very quick comparison, the Western philosophy, which is the Christian philosophy, that says the whole nature on the circle and the human in the center as a master of the nature. And I will decide what will be with the nature. In Indian philosophy, in Hindu philosophy, all the nature also on the circle, but human also on the circle. Human not in the center. We are also the part of the nature. We are not the master. We are the children of the nature. When we say Mother Nature, Prakriti Mata, then we are the children. When we call the Prakriti, how can we exploit the mother? Okay, माँ का दूध पी सकते हैं, पर माँ का खून नहीं पीना ना. It's the basic difference between the philosophy. This typical materialism based philosophies that done a lot of damage to the world. Still, world got some more time to think what sort of world we need in the future, and that all is impact. All impact depend on the actions by us. What sort of future world we need, exactly that sort of actions we need to behave in our life. Very simple. There is no jadoo ki chhadi where everything will be all right and some monk will come or some Pop John or some will come and when they do the Jadoo Ki Jhadi and everything will be alright. Kuch nahi hone wala hai. All depends on our behavior and not the behavior of animals. This human behavior towards this whole nature. We need to decide. We are Hindus. Our ancient scripture says our behavior towards the nature is Mother Nature. Prakrati Panchabhutanam. That is we say. We say in our East Chintan in the morning prayers, each Hindu home we say Samudra Vasana Devi Parvatastana Mandale Vishnu Patni Namastu. Vishnu Patni, to the Dharti Mata we saying Vishnu Patni, you are the Lakshmi. Lakshmi Patni Namastubhyam Padasparsham. Even I am touching my feet to you, just forgive me. I do remember I was little, a kid, and normally in the summer vacation we used to play in the street outside, and when after dark when we used to shout sometimes, our moms, they used to come and they say, no, don't shout, it's night now, the birds are sleeping, the trees are sleeping now, don't disturb them, don't shout in the night. I was thinking, in the Hindu culture, even we don't want to disturb the sleep of a bird. And how the other cultures behave with the animals or the birds, there is no comparison at all. Be a good Hindu and make your friends Hindu. Maybe no need to convert them, just by actions. So, to follow this Sattvika Hindu Jivan Paddhati in our daily life, that is the answer. Sattvika Hindu Jivan Paddhati. Don't even, there is a slight comparison between the non-veg and the veg. So, vegetarianism is nothing to do with the Hindus, it's for human beings. And it is the expansion of this whole philosophy. It doesn't mean Hindus say don't eat non-veg at all. This philosophy say which part of the world you are at the moment, in whatever circumstances you are, you have to eat something, to eat that which cause least harm to the nature. Simple. Eat that thing which cause the least harm to the nature. If you live in an area, else there to eat. You live in Siberia, grow anything there, eat. Even in the non-veg, you need to choose what non-veg, which causing the least harm to the nature. And if you on a vegetarian area where a lot of crops are there, the other opportunities you have, the alternates you have, why to go for the non-veg? So people can argue, when the life in the sheep or in the goat, then there is a life in the apple as well. So yeah, life is life. They are not the tark, they are the kutark. So we got intellect. We can say from an apple tree, if I pluck an apple, after 2 months I can see another apple there. But if I cut a leg of a sheep, for the whole life there won't be another leg there. So very simple. For survive, you have to eat something. Eat which is causing least harm to this nature, because this nature is not your baap ki property. This is here from thousands of years, and these natural resources need to be here for next thousands of years. Your contribution should be whatever you're getting from the nature, give back more before you die. Rabindranath Tagore wrote a small story, even not story. He said, a person who planting a mango tree. In India, mango tree normally get 20 to 25 years after the mango comes. It's not like 5 years the mango will come. It grow, and after 25 years the mango started coming. And he started he said in Indian perspective, a person who planting a mango tree, who knows I'm not going to get these mangoes in my life. At least this person understand dharma. Because the mango we eating, we didn't plant them. Someone else planted that mangoes for us. Are we planting some mangoes for the next generations? That is the answer. From this nature, whatever we are getting, are we giving back more? Whatever you're getting, give back more than you are human. If we giving back less, then we are in between human and animals. Somewhere on the spectrum. बी ह्यूमन, और हमारे यहाँ तो हिंदू कल्चर में इवन गो बियॉन्ड द ह्यूमन टुवर्ड द देवत्व. The more you go, so even in the Shakahar, forget the Mansahar, even in the Shakahar, in the vegetarianism, in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, don't stay even in the Shakahar. There are 3 degrees there, the Tamas, the Rajas and the Sattvic. Even in the Shakahar, the Tamasic Bhojan, the Rajasic Bhojan, the Sattvic Bhojan. Go towards the Sattvic Bhojan. Be more Sattvic in your Vyavhar, in your Vichar, in your Ahar, in all aspect. Be a good Hindu. It will be a great contribution for this whole planet. Thank you very much. Dhanyavad.
A huge thank you to Sri Chandrakant ji for summing up the whole thing beautifully for us and giving us a good huge boost of confidence during these difficult times. I would like to also say a huge thank you to Dr. Neela ji for the talk and for answering all our questions. She's working throughout the week and also weekends. She worked full day today. In spite of that, when I called her and asked her if she can spare some time for us, she happily agreed and she came in line for us to answer all our questions, big and small, all sorts of questions that we have asked. She has answered them happily. I really appreciate her time. Doctors are like soldiers these days. They are working days in really difficult situations, and I really appreciate her time. It's almost like a golden nugget that we have got. And in our Hinduism, as it says, Vaidyo Narayano Harihi, like doctor is treated on par with Hari, God. So it is more so now than any other times with the situations that we are in at the moment. And the philosophy that Vaidyo Narayano Harihi is not only Hindu thought process, but it has become the world's thought process at the moment. The whole world is recognizing the importance of doctors and key workers in these exceptional times. So huge thank you to Neela ji and also all the key workers working in these hard, difficult times. And I would like to thank all the attendees as well for attending our virtual session. Hope all of you found this very useful. Thank you and namaste.
Namaste all. Namaste. Quick minute, if everybody is available. Utto, along with INSA and FISI, we are doing great service to our help to all the standard Indians here, students and everybody here. And I'm happy to announce that we have raised 1,719 pounds for Seva Bharati from through Utto. And now there is a great need here actually for more such resources in the UK to help these standard Indians. So please, if you could, we will send the details in the group. So if anybody is interested, please do contribute. That will be part of the contribution from Utto to the standard Indians here. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody.